Hello there. So, as you know, I'm in the process of trying to buy a house, which means I'm looking to buy a house, but have not actually done so. Um, Here's the thing about in this market right now in Ottawa, trying to buy a house is insane. It's definitely a seller's market. It's really a brutal process for buyers. I have an excellent real estate agent, and she's making the process as good as it can be. I'm for sure. It's that there are so many people trying to buy houses right now, and there's very few homes on the market, at least in my price range. I can only speak to my price range. And so you have these homes that go up for sale, and then they hold these offers. It's like all offers will be taken at 2 p.m. on June 22nd or whatever. And so you put in your offer, and everybody's offer is looked at the same time. And sometimes they get like 30 offers, which is apparently an insanely high number. Yeah, that's an insane number of offers. And so as the buyer, like, it's just a really brutal process to look at these houses, and you put in an offer, you love a house, you put in an offer, and then you, like, inevitably it falls through. I mean, not inevitably, eventually, hopefully something will be accepted and I will buy a house. But that's just how it is in the current market that we're in. And each time we have to put in an offer, so we're just looking to do our second one, so I'm like super experienced at this point. We have to come up with a price that we're willing to pay for this house. And it's not as easy as, oh, they're asking $475,000, I'm going to pay that much, because that's not what the house is probably going to sell for. In this market, the house will probably sell for over asking, which is not the experience that I remember when I was a kid. Not that I was like buying houses as a kid, but I remember the idea when my parents were buying houses of like, we're going to negotiate it, we're going to come in under asking, and like maybe we can get $50,000 less or whatever it was. But this idea of trying to price a house, and I have no idea how to do it. My real estate agent is excellent. She is supporting me and helping me do this, but ultimately it is my decision as to what I am comfortable offering for a home. And I have no experience in this. I have very little data. I'm getting comparable sales and homes in the neighborhood, like my real estate agent is sending me those and in supporting me, but it's not the house that I'm going to buy. And so trying to compare this house to even its neighbor is not necessarily comparing apples to apples. And I've been thinking about this because it reminds me a lot about my journey of trying to price when I was first starting. And now don't get me wrong here, I am still on a journey. Pricing is a journey, it is not a destination. You don't suddenly get to the point of like, I have priced my services now and I am done. No, that's not how it works. It is a journey. And so this house pricing journey has been very similar to when I started, and I had zero data whatsoever. I can go and I can look up what other accountants are charging for their services, but it's a big spread. It's a big spread. I have seen some accountants charge as little as like $19.95 for a simple personal tax return, and I have seen some accountants charge $250+ for a simple personal tax return. So huge spread. And it's like not apples to apples, right? One accountant is different from another. Even if you're offering the same service, it's a different service. You're a different person. You have a different skill set, a different experience. And when I first started in pricing my services, I thought, oh, I'm going to be able to figure out exactly what the number should be, and then I'll be done. And in doing this, because I had no data, my go-to is to just deep dive into a bunch of research. And in doing that, I came across value pricing. And that's kind of the way that the industry seems to be going, at least for accounting. And I think that's the way that pricing in general is going, that you want to price based on value pricing. What is the customer willing to pay? What is the value of your service to your customer? But that's such a hard thing to know. Like, you have no idea, really, especially in the beginning. You have no idea what the value of your service is to your customer, because you can't be your customer. Like, it has a different value for you than it does for your customer. Like, to do a tax return has a very different value for me, because depending on the tax return, if this is a simple tax return, I don't find it complicated. I don't find it a difficult thing to do. But I know that for some people, it is the most difficult thing they have to do every single year, and they just hate it, and they're willing to pay $100 to have somebody do it for them, because it's so overwhelming and it's too much for them. But how do you know? How do you know that? And it's different for every customer. So how do you understand what that customer is willing to pay? And I've been thinking about that on the flip side of, like, as a customer, as somebody trying to buy a house right now, what am I willing to pay for this house? And it's been a journey, right? The first one that I looked at comparables, and I picked a number that I was like, you know what, I'm fine with this number. It turned out not to be nearly high enough. So I obviously didn't get it. But this next, I'm going to put an offer in next week, and this next one, I'm like, okay, how badly do I want it? What are the comparables? But I still feel like I have no idea as to what I should offer. And so I think that is exactly how we should price our services in the beginning. I think we should have an idea. We should know how much it costs, so we're absolutely covering our costs. But I think you can just experiment, and that it is really a journey, that you can charge somebody $100 for the service that you offer, and see if that person is willing to pay it. And if they do, and then you do it and you're like, man, I didn't get paid nearly enough for that, great, make it $500 next time, and just see. Maybe that person, the next person you talk to, is like, oh no, I'm definitely not gonna pay that much. Or maybe they do, and then you do it for them, and you're like, oh man, like, I can't believe I just got paid $500 to do like X, Y, Z. So it's okay to experiment with your price. I recommend setting a price and then trying it a couple times, unless you do it once and you go, oh my God, that was way too small, like I didn't get paid nearly enough for that. Then I would raise my price for the next one. But just try it and see. Try a couple people at the same price, or try to, if someone says, oh no, that's way too high, then you can change your service a little bit and say, okay, well, I don't have to do this thing, and it will cost you $50 less or whatever. So don't be discouraged. If you're a brand new business owner and you're trying to price your services, and this is like the hardest thing that you've had to do, don't be discouraged. It's okay. It's supposed to be hard, and it gets easier the more you do it and the more you get data for your own company and your own service, because everybody's company is different, even if they're doing the same thing as you. I have a video on pricing that I did about a year ago, and it talks about how to think about pricing. And this is how I was thinking about it a year ago. And so I would go and have a listen to that. It's a little bit more tactical than what I talked about here. It talks about how to really get into the details of how to think about price. So if you're brand new, that's a good one to go and watch, and maybe it will be interesting to see the difference between how I thought about price a year ago and how I think about now. If you have any questions for me about price, I would love to chat with you about it. As much as it's not a linear thing, which sometimes makes it outside my skill set a little bit when we start talking about trying to put a number to something that's not a numerical value, like value. I love talking about it because there's lots of different opinions and lots of different ways to do it. So leave a comment for me or a question, and let's keep chatting about it. I hope you're well. I hope this pricing thing gets easier for you. I'm sure it will. And I'll see you tomorrow.